Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy. Welcome to the last lap. In today's video we have even more penalties to discuss. But before we hop into that, just want to remind you guys to hit that like button and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it if you did that. And you can also check out our social media pages, which are linked down in the description. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the video. The man across the screen, Matthew, is joining me as always, and he's been wanting to do this video for a while. So yeah, without further ado, I guess let's go ahead and hop straight into it. Matthew, how you doing? As we are going to break down a ton of penalties that have been talked about over the past few days.
Oh man, I'm doing great. It's been a fun couple of days. It's been a fun week. Just watching all the news that's been breaking out. And I've been waiting all week to make this video. Been waiting all week to talk about this. And I know for the man across from me, he's gonna have it's gonna be a long video for him. So do whatever you want to get comfortable. You might as well get some coffee or something to relax or some hot tea. You want to be relaxed for this because this is gonna be a long video for you.
Alright, well, let's go ahead and hop straight into everything that has happened over the past few days. So, as you guys know, last week, Hendrick Motorsports, their appeal was mostly overturned. They had their 100 points given back to them. They got their playoff points given back to all the cars, all that stuff, but they still had to do the fines and the crew chief suspensions. So, Kaulig Racing, they had their appeal this week, and it was for pretty much the same issue. It was for a hood louver that NASCAR did not like, and their appeal was this week. And the results of that one is that Kaulig, their 100-point penalty was reduced to 75 points, where Hendrick's, all of their points got taken away. Kaulig still had to give up the 10 playoff points, where Hendrick Motorsports got all 10 of theirs back for every driver, but there was still a $100,000 fine and the 4-week crew chief suspension. So, I mean, honestly, I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. I really don't know how Kaulig didn't win this appeal. I know Hendrick Motorsports, obviously they're a much bigger team. They have a lot more resources, so maybe they had a lot more people that could, find something in the rule book that, like a small little twist in the rule book that they could use to their advantage to win their appeal compared to Kaulig, where they don't really have a lot of people and a lot of money to probably do all that kind of research and to bring a really good argument to the table. I don't know, but that shouldn't even really be an issue in the first place. I'd say, if Hendrick Motorsports, if they violate their louvers, all 4 cars, all 8 louvers, if all of those, for that penalty, if they get their points rescinded, I think Kaulig Racing for 1 louver on 1 car, they should be able to get their points back. But that's just the short and sweet answer for me. I really don't have an explanation for it or much of an opinion, honestly, besides what I just said. So I'm just going to not say anything else because I'll probably just keep repeating myself. But Kaulig, they will take their appeal to the final appeals officer. So I think they will have one more chance to hopefully get that penalty overturned, similar to what happened with Hendrick Motorsports. But after Richmond, William Byron and Alex Bowman's cars were taken back to the R&D center at random, quote-unquote, by NASCAR, and they found that the greenhouse area was modified, which is apparently kind of where the windshield wiper goes, I guess, towards the middle of the car. I don't have too much knowledge on what the greenhouse area is, but that's what I've been able to find in my quick research that I've been able to do. But Hendrick Motorsports gets blasted again. Both drivers lose 60 points, 5 playoff points. The substitute crew chiefs are suspended 2 races, and each of the substitute crew chiefs are fined $75,000. So literally, like a few weeks after Hendrick gets busted for the louver thing, they get busted again for whatever this greenhouse area is for something modified. And Steve O'Donnell said that it was not like intentional to target Hendrick Motorsports to send them a message. I think that's complete cap. I'm going to be honest with you. I think NASCAR said, oh, you guys won your appeal. Well, we're going to take your cars right back to the R&D center and find something else. And they found something else. So That's just my quick opinion. I don't think it was non-intentional. I think NASCAR was like, "Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna take your cars back to the R&D center," but they did find something they didn't like. But they only took the Byron and Bowman cars back to the R&D center because the first and second place cars were Larson and Barry, which are both Hendrick cars, and they went through a somewhat decent inspection process, I guess. Only first, second, and third place go through post race inspection, I guess, nowadays. And I guess they didn't see anything too eye catching, I guess. So NASCAR was like, oh, we're going to take these other two cars back to the R&D center. And in my opinion, like, if you're going to take cars back to the R&D center, I think you should take all of the cars from the same team instead of like one random car here, one random car there, or two cars from the same team, or one car from one team, or something like that. Because honestly, Kyle Larson's car and Josh Berry's car could have whatever this is on here that NASCAR didn't like. And I guess we're not going to know now, but I think if NASCAR is going to take cars back to the R&D center at random, quote unquote, that they should take like a whole team's cars back, not just one car per team, because if they see something on one car that they don't like, well, who knows if the other cars don't have it on there. But yeah, Hendrick Motorsports busted again. I think they're going to wait until after Bristol Dirt to decide if they're going to appeal this one. And yeah, I don't know. NASCAR is just in a very sticky situation right now. Well, I'm not going to say NASCAR because this isn't NASCAR's fault. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, NASCAR wants Hendrick Motorsports to win their appeal and all that stuff, but it's the appeals panel that does this. It's not Hendrick Motorsport, or it's not NASCAR's fault. NASCAR is just as frustrated as all these other teams are that Hendrick Motorsports got their parts back, or got their points back for modifying parts to the next gen car. So it's not a NASCAR issue, it's the appeals panel. But yeah, I really don't know what else to say about it. But also, Denny Hamlin, his appeal was also denied. His appeal was the day after Kaulig's, and he still has to give up his 25 points and $100,000. Did I read that right? Is it really $100,000? There's no way it was that much. Anyway, whatever the money was, Denny Hamlin still has to cough that up too, along with the 25 driver points. He did not win his appeal. I'm very interested to see what Denny Hamlin says on his Actions Detrimental episode whenever they record that, because I will be listening and I'm sure he will give his full argument on why he should not have to give up his points or anything like that. And I think his main argument is that I don't think any driver has gotten penalized points for wrecking somebody on the track. Like, they've gotten suspended races, they've gotten fined, but there's never been points involved for a penalty. So I think Denny Hamlin has a fair argument there that he shouldn't have to give up his points. But man, whew, that's a lot of news, a lot of penalties, a lot of appeals, all that kind of stuff. But Matthew, I'm sure you have a lot to say, so I'll go ahead and stop talking and let you go ahead and have the floor. It's all yours.
You got your coffee out? Because this is going to be a long one. Okay. It is my turn. Now, I have been looking forward to this all week long. And all three of these stories we just talked about here, all the three penalties with the appeals and penalties announced, all tied to one single thing. And that is the appeals panel as absolutely major bias and favoritism towards Hendrick Motorsports. And they have had a long track record of this. Now, let's start with the whole Denny Hamlin penalty, which that one, they did not change at all. Are we forgetting about a certain incident that happened last year when a Hendrick driver, William Byron, intentionally spun Denny Hamlin under caution, and during the interview after the race, he basically said, "Yeah, I wrecked him on purpose." And guess what? He got a points penalty and a fine. Just like Hamlin, he got a points penalty and a fine. Guess who got their points back? And guess who didn't get their points back? For an incident that was actually worse than what Hamlin did. Breaking someone under caution on purpose is an absolute big no. And that was absolutely inexcusable to just say, hey, here's your points. Here's your points back since you're in the playoffs. Now let's talk about Phoenix with the hood louvers. With all 400 cars and then one Kaulig car. Guess who won that appeal and guess who didn't? Exactly. And you know what's even crazier about that one? Is that it was literally found on all 400 cars, both louvers. Meanwhile, the calling car was only one car of the two in that organization, and it was only one louver that got confiscated, not both. And literally, the appeals panel literally said, yeah, they did break the rules, but oh well, they're going to get their points back. That's what we say. Like, so you basically said, yeah, they basically cheated, but guess what? We're rewarding them for that. Are you kidding me? And now we get to the penalty that just dropped today, with both Byron and Bowman having once again getting caught cheating again. And you know what's crazy? I'm actually pulling for them to go to the appeals panel here because I am really looking forward to see how this goes again. If because you know by now they're gonna win this appeal because we have seen 3 times in the past few months that Hendrick Motorsports has somehow gotten away with something unscathed. Basically, it's just been the money, which to Hendrick Motorsports that means nothing because that's basically a multi-million-dollar organization. So that means nothing compared to points. It's just absolutely inexcusable that we have an appeals panel that will literally lie to your face about, hey, we're trying to make this fair here. But in reality, if it's with Hendrick Motorsports, they're going to get their way. Because all the appeals panel does is go on their hands and knees and basically begging for Rick Hendrick's money, basically. Because you know if Rick Hendrick's getting that money out, they're going to win that case. So it's just, I feel bad for other NASCAR fans who are they just want fairness here. They just want everyone to be held accountable the same. They want Hendrick Motorsports to be held just as accountable as Justin Haley's car was. They want William Byron from last year to be held as accountable as Denny Hamlin from Phoenix this year. And we'll be seeing how the Byron and Bowman situation goes if that does go to the appeals panel, which I hope so, because I'm gonna be grabbing my popcorn out and I'll be ready again if they say, "Hey, we're giving the points back again," and if someone else does the same thing, they're not gonna get a single thing back. So it's just unbelievable. But hey, these appeals panels apparently are thinking about those merchandise sales because you know those bandwagon Hendrick fans or bandwagon Elliott fans are basically the same thing in my opinion. Well, most of them. Hey, they're the ones that have drawn up those merchandise sales. They're the ones watching the races because apparently most of these bandwagons have no originality to them, only famous numbers and last names, and yeah, it's just it's just sad how things are going right now. And I applaud NASCAR for being even more sneaky with those Hendrick cars. Because I said in the last video, I'm like, I even said, man, I think NASCAR secretly wanted the appeals panel to win. But now, I don't think that's the case anymore because they literally picked those 200 cars on purpose. And guess what? Good for them. They should. They need to show Rick Hendrick and Jeff Gordon that you're not going to get away with this crap anymore. You're not going to get away with your cheating anymore. Because it's real obvious who's been the fastest lately. By a mile, seems like. And NASCAR, they got to keep that team in check. We got to keep this field even playing out. That's what the next gen car is supposed to be, leveling the playing field. And if it was me, I would be docking that team even more money. Now I know I said about the money not being that effective, but if I'm finding them like $1 million, maybe more, I'll be finding them more enough to the point where they will think twice about spending more money on testing and trying to find an advantage. They will think twice. If that's just my opinion. So it's just an absolute shame that we have to, sit here and really, you know, we have to talk about this. This is stupid. If the appeals panel were just being fair, like every other team, like be consistent instead of showing your major love, your crush to Hendrick Motorsports, then we wouldn't be sitting here and talking about this. But Jimmy, your organization is a literal joke right now. People are not taking them seriously now because so far this year, this has been twice now that they've been caught cheating. So I don't think we should be taking them that seriously because they could get caught cheating, and if the appeals panel finally wakes up from their crush with Hendrick and actually be more consistent, then they'll keep on losing points. So yeah, I'm Hendrick. Your season's in jeopardy because you keep getting caught with these things, especially since NASCAR now is going to be watching like a hawk every single race, looking at the inspection every single race. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'm sure I made a lot of Hendrick fans mad, but I do not care because I was rubbing my hands like Birdman right here, waiting for this week, waiting for this video and talking about this. So that's all I have to say about that.
And just so you guys know, all of the, Hendrick bandwagon jokes or whatever, that's not directed at me because when I come on this show, I throw all my. It's not even biased, but like Hendrick fan stuff. Like, I believe that at the door when I come in here and do this podcast or YouTube video. I'm open and subjective to everybody and everything. Even, you guys heard what I said. So I'm not,
I wasn't even
backing up
talking
Hendrick
about
by
you.
any means. Oh, I know. I'm just clarifying that for people who may be watching our channel for the first time. They may be like, "Oh, they're calling Jimmy a Hendrick bandwagon fan." No, that's not me. Um, I was just clarifying that for anybody new
For
to the
people that
channel. But
watched this show long enough, they should know that he's the only Chase Elliott fan that I will ever hang out with or be with, basically. He's the only one. I'm sorry, anyone else, any other Chase Elliott fans, we can't get along, but you're the only one that I allow.
yeah, I leave all that at the door when I come in here. I completely agree with everything you said. The whole William Byron thing from last year at Texas, that's a really good point compared to what happened with Denny at Phoenix. That's a great point. And then obviously what just happened at Phoenix with the Hendrick louvers and the Kaulig louvers. I mean, I listened to Door Bumper Clear, and I believe it's Justin Haley's spot or whoever that is. He was on there, and he was like, "We don't even have like the money to like spend to like do research to modify like the hood louvers in any kind of way or adjust them in any kind of way." So I really don't get how Kaulig got busted for their louver in the first place, and then I don't really know how the appeals panel didn't overturn their penalty like they did for Hendrick Motorsports. But like all I want to do is I just want to hear what the appeals panel said. But like up until today, there wasn't any type of rule where they had to say anything about it. So we don't know why Hendrick got their appeal pretty much all the way overturned and why Kaulig didn't. But now I think there's a rule. Well, it's not really a rule, but NASCAR can, I guess, request like a statement from the appeals panel or whatever to explain what happened, which is good, which is what we need. We need to see that. And NASCAR also made an adjustment to the rule book that a penalty cannot be completely overturned if the suspected team did something partially wrong. So in the Hendrick Motorsports case, they got all of their points back. But like if the appeals panel, if they found that Hendrick Motorsports did something partially wrong, they can only take away, they can only give back some of the points. They can't give back all of the points, which I think is a good rule. But like if they find the party innocent, then they can completely overturn it. But that wasn't the case. Hendrick Motorsports, the appeals panel still said that Hendrick did something wrong, and they still gave them all their points back. So I do like that adjustment and modified rule. But man, whew, I'm long-winded. That was a lot. But we're going to end this video on a positive note. The All-Star schedule was announced, or the format for the All-Star race was announced. Let me quickly pull it up right here. I'm very excited. I'm very happy with how this turned out. So the qualifying, the lineup will be determined by a pit crew challenge. They're not going to do normal qualifying. So the fastest 4-tire pit stop will determine the pole for the All-Star race. There'll be 2 heat races, 60 laps each. The results for the first one will set the inside lane. The results of the second one will set the outside lane. And then the All-Star race is 200 laps. All laps count. Let me see. I'm still working on it here. There's going to be a break at halfway, so 2 100-lap segments, which is great. And they can only use 1 set of sticker tires after lap 100, which is great because we need the tires to wear at this racetrack. Very old surface. We need the drivers to have their hands full with these race cars. So I'm very excited about this All-Star race format. They didn't do anything crazy. Just 200 laps, 100 laps each, break at halfway, 1 set of tires after halfway. But yeah, I'm very excited. It's going to be a fun race to watch. Matthew, what do you have to quickly say about that before we go ahead and finish this video out?
Well, man, it's so refreshing that we just have a simple all-star race format. And that's what this Norfolksboro race needed. It just needed to be simple. I mean, this race is going to be historical in itself. Going back to a historical short track. For the first time, I mean, basically, almost, there's some of these Cup drivers that weren't even born when the last time the Cup Series were racing there, especially Ty Gibbs. I mean, the last time they raced there, Dale Sr. was still racing, Jeff Gordon was still racing, Terry Labonte was still racing. I mean, it's Hall of Famers, man. I'm just glad this format is just simple. That's all we needed. We didn't need the absolute garbage that we had at Texas the last 2 years. So I'm happy about it. It just feels so refreshing.
Yeah, I forget who said it, but the All-Star race this year, it's about the track. It's about North Wilkesboro. It's about the history of the sport. It's not necessarily about the race. I mean, it is. It's about the race and the $1 million, but when you say the 2023 NASCAR All-Star race, you think North Wilkesboro. You don't think the format. You don't think the money, really. You think North Wilkesboro. You think history, all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that they made the format simple so that the focus of the race weekend could be on the racetrack, because it's great that they brought North Wilkesboro back. So hopefully it'll be a good show for all the fans that are there and watching on TV. But yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. You guys can check out our Richmond vlog. That should be right here somewhere on the screen. We're going to be doing a Martinsville vlog also next weekend. But first we got to get through Bristol Dirt. That post-race review will probably be up sometime next week. But until the next time, we see you guys in our next video.